What's up, guys? We are back with a full slate of MLB action here on Sunday, July 21st. Decent winning day there on Saturday, guys. Came out of the gate strong with a win there on the over in that Detroit-Toronto game. Huge 6th inning got us over the finish line there, so a decent win in that one. We also had Baltimore minus 115. That was a solid 8-4 win there for the Baltimore Orioles as they try to get back on track here after the All-Star break. We also had the Royals minus 1.5. That was at minus 105. We hit the win in that one as well. Brady Singer was great out there, and we saw the Royals come away with a 6-1 win. Things got a little bit off the rails after that, guys. Cleveland minus 110. They only got one hit in that entire game to lose 7-0. Cease looked awesome out there for the Padres, so that was a bit disappointing. We also had Boston plus 120. That was a real heartbreaker, guys. They ended up losing 7-6 in 11 innings after blowing leads in both the 9th and 10th innings. So, yeah, pretty devastating stuff there. Really felt like that one should have been a win, but we did close things out strong there with a win on the Rockies plus 136. That was a 4-3 win. They got all 4 runs off of Webb in that game, and we saw a very good outing from Freeland. So a 4-2 day with a solid underdog in there. We will absolutely take that. No complaints here. Let's see if we can keep things rolling here, headed into a big Sunday slate. Before we get into the games, guys, do me a big favor and hit that like button. It's a great way to show some support for the channel and all the work we put in here every single day. If you're new, go ahead and subscribe. It's 100% free and can keep you from missing out on these picks. Our videos are sponsored by StumpTheSpread.com. Click the link in the description to go over there and join our free email list and check out our top confidence plays on all the major sports. Comment below with all the bets you're looking at today, and we will give you our best advice on all of them. We respond to absolutely every single comment, so let us know anything you want to say about my picks, these videos, or anything you see here. As always, our final picks will be in the pinned comment down below. Now let's get into our first game of the day. We've got the Milwaukee Brewers going on the road to take on the Minnesota Twins. The Brewers come into this game fresh off of an 8-4 win there in game 1 of this series, so got things off to a good start there. They're 56-42 on the season, handing the ball to Aaron Savale in this game. He's 2-7 this year with a 4.94 ERA. It's going to be his 3rd start there wearing the Brewers uniform after getting acquired there by Milwaukee only a few games ago. He hasn't looked amazing, but not terrible. His last outing against the Pirates was very, very good. He just got absolutely no run support, but we're very concerned, guys. The last time he pitched against the Twins, it was at Milwaukee, just like this game. He went 3 2/3 innings, gave up 7 hits and 4 earned runs. So not the sharpest stuff out there. Definitely some concerns for me about Savale in this game. Not a ton of the concerns about this Brewers bullpen. I mean, they're sitting with a 3.35 bullpen ERA. Absolutely nothing wrong with that. So if Savale does get knocked out of this game early, maybe the bullpen can pick up the slack, but that seems like a little bit of a big ask. The Brewers bats have looked good recently. I mean, they've scored 18 runs over their last 2 games, or 17 runs over their last 2 games, so looking pretty nice out there. I mean, it did take them 12 innings to get the win in that game against the Twins there in game 1, so we'll see what they have left in the tank for this one, but this has been a good offensive team all season long, guys. 7th in the majors in runs scored, 2nd in the majors in on-base percentage. They're batting .255 as a team. Like, these are all very, very good numbers, so we'll see what they can do here in game 2 against the Twins, who come into this one fresh off of that loss. They also didn't really go into the All-Star break looking great, but at 54-43 on the year, not a ton to complain about. They're handing the ball to Joe Ryan in this game. He's 6-6 this year with a 3.53 ERA. He's coming off of a kind of unfortunate start at San Francisco, but this is his first start since the All-Star break, so he's had a nice little bit of time off to reset and hopefully find a way to bounce back after, not exactly his best outing. He's been pretty solid this season, don't get me wrong, but I mean, there's some bumps in the road. It's a long season, you know how it can be, but overall, we're not feeling too bad about Joe Ryan out there on the mound. We're also feeling pretty darn good about that Twins bullpen, guys. I mean, yeah, maybe not amazing here in game 1 of this series, but they've been trending in a positive direction for quite some time. They're sitting with a 3.59 bullpen ERA, which has them around top 10 in the majors. So very good stuff from a bullpen that had their problems earlier on in the season. The bats didn't get off to the best start here after the All-Star break, scoring only 4 runs, but overall, this has been a great offensive team, guys. I mean, they're 7th in the majors in runs scored, 7th in the majors, batting .254 as a team, so very, very solid stuff there. We are a little bit worried about them getting banged up at the moment. We've got both Carlos Correa and Chris Paddock on the IL now, so we obviously not going to see them in this game, so that's a pretty big blow to any offense to lose 2 of your solid hitters, so we'll see what they're actually able to do out there in this game. And looking at the numbers for this one, guys, we're looking at the Brewers at plus 136, the Twins at minus 156. We've got an over-under of 8.5 in this game. The Brewers are 26-25 on the road. Minnesota is 27-18 at home, so very solid at home, but man, are they banged up in this game. We see both teams showing minuscule trends towards the over, but we're not super interested in the over in this game. Probably not interested in the under either, to be honest. This isn't total that gets me going at all. Given all the injuries for the Twins, I'm actually leaning slightly towards the Brewers at that plus money, despite Savale's struggles against them. But yeah, guys, this is not one that's going anywhere near the pinned comment. Gonna have to see how the Twins look here with their offense being a little bit limited. Next up, guys, we're looking at the Cincinnati Reds going on the road to take on the Washington Nationals. The Reds come into this game losers of their last 3 in a row now, so not exactly having a great time, coming off a 5-4 loss there. Pretty rough stuff. Gave that one up in the 8th inning. Not amazing. They're going to be handing the ball to Andrew Abbott in this game, though, so that has to feel great. He's 9-6 this season with a 3.39 ERA. He's coming off a pretty bad start pre-All-Star break, guys, against the Marlins. It was a game he looked terrible, but the Reds managed to win 10-6. Other than that, not a lot of negatives to report for Abbott. He's been looking very, very good recently. He hasn't gone up against the Nationals this season, but overall, this is a pitcher we can definitely feel good about, and I think he's in a good spot to bounce back after the All-Star break. We also feel good about that Cincinnati Reds bullpen. They're currently in 5th in the majors with a 3.45 bullpen ERA, so not a lot of negatives there. The question for this team usually is, where is the offense going to come from? I mean, over their last 3 games, they've scored 4, 5, and 2 runs respectively. They're 14th in the majors overall in runs scored this season, but 27th in the majors in batting average, 22nd in the majors getting on base at a 305 clip. Like, this is just not an offense that I'm super scared of at any point, so we'll just have to see if this is a spot where we can trust them to find a way to put up some runs. And they're going up against the Washington Nationals, who come into this game winners of the first 2 of this series for sure. They're handing the ball in this one to Jake Irvin, who's 7-8 this season with a 3.49 ERA. Pretty solid stuff there. He did not look good in his last outing, though, guys. It was back on the 14th at the Milwaukee Brewers, albeit a tough place to pitch. 4 innings, 9 hits, 6 earned runs, and 2 home runs. Honestly, both of his last 2 starts haven't been very good, but he's had the All-Star break to rest, recuperate, hopefully get his mind right a little bit after some struggles. So we'll see what we get from him out there in this one. Could be a bit rough, but he's been good over the course of the season, so we'll see what we get from him. We'll see what we get from this Nationals bullpen. They've been pretty average recently. I mean, a 4.05 bullpen ERA is not great. It's not really even in the top half of the majors, so got some questions about the bullpen, even some questions about Jake Irvin in this game, if I'm being completely honest. And the Nationals hitters come into this game. They're hitting the ball okay, especially for this team. I mean, 5, 8, 3, and 6 runs, respectively over their last few games. That's not terrible, but this team is 19th in the majors in runs scored and 19th in the majors in batting average. They're clearly a below average offensive team, but they're not exactly going up against the toughest hitting opponent, so we'll just have to wait and see what we actually get out of them in this game. And looking at the numbers for this one, we see the Reds at plus 102, the Nationals at minus 118. We've got an over-under of 8.5 in this game. The Reds are 22-23 on the road. Washington is 21-24 at home, so not huge trends there. Washington not a dominant home team though, so that's definitely something to take into account. We see both of these teams are dead even 50-50 over-under teams on the road and at home respectively. So in terms of that over-under of 8.5, I would maybe turn to look a little bit towards the under possibly, but that's not a bet that I'm really zeroed in on. However, I am pretty interested in the Cincinnati Reds with Abbott out there on the mound to get the win in this game and save themselves from the sweep. I mean, being on the road can be tough. The Reds haven't been a terrible road team though, and this is a big Sunday trend that we definitely have to look at possibly playing. We also haven't loved what we've seen from Jake Irvin lately, so yeah, guys, go ahead and give me the Cincinnati Reds in this one with a definite chance to end up in the pinned comment. Moving right along here, guys, we're looking at the Philadelphia Phillies going on the road to take on the Pittsburgh Pirates. The Phillies come into this game fresh off of another loss, guys. They've now lost 3 in a row. They've lost their first 2 here since the All-Star break. Only scored 1 run in Game 2 of this series. At 62-36, I think they're going to be okay, but can't be stoked about what they're doing right now. They're handing the ball in this one to Tyler Phillips, who comes into this game 1-0 this season with a 4.50 ERA. He's coming off of, this is only his 3rd start of the year, guys. He's coming off of a decent but not great start against the Oakland A's. 6 innings, 6 hits, and 4 earned runs against a team like Oakland is not great, but we did see the Phillies give him tons of run support, scoring 11 runs in that game, so he'll definitely take it. Kind of been a tale of 2 starts for this guy. We'll see what he gets in the 3rd start here, his first start since the All-Star break. He's a young guy. We can expect a little bit of inconsistency, but what are we going to see from him in this one? I guess we'll just have to wait and see, guys. We'll also have to wait and see what we get from the Phillies bullpen, which is really causing us a lot of concern right now. They're down in the middle of the pack there in the majors with a 3.89 bullpen ERA, which is not trending in a positive direction, so definitely some significant question marks here about this. This pitching staff just in general is not really filling me with optimism right now, guys. We've seen blown saves. We've kind of seen the whole 9 yards here, and they're going to be trying to avoid the sweep in this one, so we'll see if the offense can maybe bail them out, but they've scored 1, 7, and 3 runs respectively over their last few games. Obviously, Bryce Harper looking pretty good. We see Real Muto rejoining the Phillies after his meniscus recovery, so that could be a big boost for them. They're 3rd in the majors in runs scored, 3rd in the majors in team batting average. They're getting on base at a 332 clip. This is not an offense you want to mess around with. So going up against the Pirates here, who are going to be looking for their 51st win of the season. They're 50-48 on the year. They're on a 6-game winning streak now, which is kind of crazy. Hitting the ball to Marco Gonzalez in this game. He's 1-0 this season with a 2.45 ERA. coming off of a very good start at the Chicago White Sox, albeit it was the White Sox. It's only going to be his 5th outing of the season and his 2nd outing since, April. So we'll see what we get from him. His last time out was at the Chicago White Sox, 5 innings, 7 hits, 1 earned run. So not exactly what I would term a lockdown appearance. The last time he pitched against the Phillies was back on April 13th. He went 6 innings, gave up 6 hits and 2 earned runs. He also gave up a home run in that game. Obviously, that's kind of ancient history at this point, but it's definitely something to, maybe keep in mind, deep in the back of your mind. And yeah, the Pirates bullpen hasn't been amazing either, guys. A 4.35 bullpen ERA is not great, but we can, at least in this series, I guess, say they're trending in something of a positive direction, but not a bullpen that I have a lot of faith in, and also not really an offense that I have a ton of faith in. We did see Ortiz hit a pretty crazy home run in that game, but in general, 4 runs in that one. This isn't a great offense, guys. They're 19th in the majors in runs scored, 26th in the majors, batting .232 as a team. I know Brian Reynolds is a monster, but outside of him, who are we really supposed to be, terrified of in this game? So looking at the numbers for this one, we see the Phillies at -140. We've got the Pirates at +124. We've got an over-under of 9 in this game. The Phillies are 24-19 on the road. Not incredible, but not terrible, obviously. We see the Pirates are 23-24 at home. That's also not great. No major trends to look at in the over-under in this game. I could wrap my head around possibly taking it over with 2, pretty inexperienced pitchers, or maybe not inexperienced necessarily. Marco Gonzalez is 32. He's been around, but guys that haven't been in the majors too much this season. So we'll see in terms of that over/under. But in general, guys, this is another spot we would like very much to play that Sunday trend, taking the Phillies -140 to avoid the sweep here. So this definitely is getting consideration to go in the pinned comment. Will I be in love with this pick? Maybe not in love with it, but definitely seems like one of those Sunday trends that you really want to pay attention to. Next up, guys, we're looking at the St. Louis Cardinals going on the road to take on the Atlanta Braves. The Cardinals ended up splitting that doubleheader there. They lost game 1 of the doubleheader yesterday and won game 2 at 9-5. These teams have to be pretty exhausted. A lot of baseball got played in that one day, guys. The Cardinals are 51-47 on the year, 5 games back of the Milwaukee Brewers. They're hitting the ball to Miles Michaelis in this game, who's 7-8 this season with a 5.13 ERA, coming off a pretty rough start there before the All-Star break against the Chicago Cubs, where he went 5 1/3 innings, gave up 8 hits and 6 earned runs. He gave up 4 home runs in that game. I know things can be a little bit tough if you're pitching at Wrigley Field, but this was at home at Busch Stadium. So not a lot of great things to say about Michaelis right now. Kind of the opposite, though, for that Cardinals bullpen, guys. They've been trending in a good direction. A 3.47 bullpen ERA has them 6th in the majors right now. So very, very good stuff right there for the Cardinals bullpen. The pitching staff overall, am I in love with it? Maybe not, but the bullpen looking good. The bats came alive for 9 runs there in game 2 of that doubleheader, so that's got to feel nice. Overall, this hasn't been an incredible offense, but overall, 24th in the majors in runs scored. That's not great, but we've got some pretty solid batting average numbers. They're above average in the majors in batting average, batting .245 as a team. Their on base percentage is creeping up there. It's at .310, and they're in the top 2/3 of the majors now with a .384 on slugging percentage. So, things headed in kind of a positive direction. We'll see what they can do here against the Atlanta Braves, who are now at 54-43 on the season. Handing the ball in this game to Spencer Schwellenbach, who's 3-4 this year with a 4.43 ERA. He's coming off of a fantastic start at the Padres, guys. His last time out was back on the 12th of July. 7 innings, 3 hits, only a single earned run in that game. He looked very, very good out there. We are a little bit concerned. The last time he faced the Cardinals, which is back on the 24th of last month, 5 innings, 8 hits, and 4 earned runs. So not exactly a dominant performance from him, and that was not all that long ago, guys. So I have some question marks there for sure. He's a young pitcher. He can have some inconsistencies and stuff like that. We're not exactly going to freak out about it, but something to keep in the back of the noggin for sure. Are we worried about the Braves bullpen? Absolutely not, guys. A 2.98 bullpen ERA, one of the absolute best in the majors. A crazy, crazy good bullpen. We can, although, very reasonably worry about this offense, guys. They're down to 22nd in the majors in runs scored this year, batting .241 as a team. That's below MLB average. They're sitting at an on-base percentage of .304. That's pretty bad as well. Just not a ton of positives to report. They scored 5, 3, 6, and 0 runs, respectively, over their last few games. So not an offense I'm in love with. And looking at the numbers for this game, we see the Cardinals at +132. We see the Braves at -145. We've got an over-under of 8.5 in this game. The Cardinals are 24-25 on the road. We see Atlanta is 30-17 at home. So a very, very good home team. Don't get me wrong about that. We do see both teams showing kind of significant trends towards the under. Am I interested in an under 8.5 in this game, though? Absolutely not. If you're wanting to bet the total in this game, definitely give me the over. But in terms of a side, this seems really gross, guys, and I don't want to be betting on Miles Michaelis, but I feel like the Cardinals plus 132 is the side in this game, with Schwellenbach having some negative, history against the Cardinals. He's a young guy, so if you wanted to just ignore that history, I guess you could, but in general, guys, this game's going to be basically a stay-away spot for me with two pretty exhausted teams, but if you really want to bet it, I do think the Cardinals and possibly the over are the plays. Next on the docket, guys, we're looking at the Tampa Bay Rays going on the road to take on the New York Yankees. The Rays come into this game fresh off of a 9-1 win there in Game 2 of this series at Yankee Stadium. They're at 49-49 on the season, hitting the ball in this game to Shane Baz, who's 0-1 this year with a 5.23 ERA. His last start, guys, was back on the 11th of July against the Yankees. He went 4 1/3 innings, gave up 6 hits and 3 earned runs in a game that we eventually saw the Rays win 5-4. Not exactly, a lot of that credit goes to Baz. He's looked a bit hittable in both of his starts this year, so we'll see what we get out of him in this one after the long break. We'll also see what we get out of that Tampa Bay Rays bullpen, which has looked a little bit better lately, guys. A 4.32 bullpen ERA over the course of the season isn't great, but things are trending in a bit of a positive direction. They went crazy there in Game 2 of this series, scoring 9 runs, but they've scored 9, 1, 2, 2, and 2 runs respectively over their last few games. I mean, this team could be okay. We did see a great outing there from Taj Bradley, so kind of wish we would have ended up with the Tampa Bay Rays there in the pinned comment 2 days in a row, but I think we were just a little bit scared to run it back after they had let us down a bit in the, yesterday, but, we'll see what goes on. See if they can make their way into the pinned comment in this one. This offense isn't one we're super high on. 28th in the majors in runs scored and 27th in the majors in slugging percentage, but they're coming off of a good game, so we'll give them some credit there. We'll see how they look here in Game 3 of the series against the Yankees, who are 59-41 on the year coming off of that loss. They're handing the ball in this game to Marcus Stroman, who's 7-4 this season with a 3.51 ERA. Ironically, his last outing was against the Tampa Bay Rays. It was back on the 10th of July. He went 4 1/3 innings, gave up 7 hits, but only a single earned run and no home runs. So, relatively decent stuff from him. A bit of a bounce back outing after a rough one against the Cincinnati Reds. But in general, we've liked what we've seen from Marcus Stroman this season. I mean, I'm not going to say he's necessarily been like 100% a lights out pitcher this year, but he's been good. An ERA well below 4. He's done some good work out there. We're a little bit worried about the Yankees bullpen though, guys. They haven't been trending in the greatest direction. They're sitting currently in 7th place in the majors, so obviously not terrible with a 3.47 bullpen ERA this season, but yeah, maybe not exactly, not the bullpen that we saw from the Yankees earlier in the season, it doesn't feel like. And we're getting good news about the Yankees offense getting healthy in the relatively near future with, Stanton maybe being game ready sometime next week. But for this game, guys, we're definitely looking at the light version here of the Yankees offense. They are still 1st in the majors in runs scored and 4th in the majors in on-base percentage overall this season. We see Judge and Soto really doing some good things out there to kind of carry the load, but they didn't look good yesterday. Maybe they're in for a bounce back today. So looking at the numbers for this game, we see the Rays at plus 130, the Yankees at minus 150. We've got an over-under of 8.5 in this game. In general, guys, I mean, Tampa Bay, they're a 500 team on the road. The Yankees are over 500 at home. No major shock there, but 26-20 at home, not really a crazy number. We see mixed trends and very, very small trends towards the over-under for this game. In general, in this spot, guys, I think we see the Yankees have something of a bounce back. I mean, Baz didn't have a great time against them the last time he faced them, despite the Rays coming away with a narrow win there. Stroman out there on the mound, he's had some success against the Rays recently, although 7 hits doesn't exactly fill me with a ton of optimism, so I guess give me the Yankees minus 150, but this isn't a spot that I'm regarding as like a great slam it spot on the New York Yankees. Next on the docket, we're looking at the Detroit Tigers going on the road to take on the Toronto Blue Jays. The Tigers come into this game winners of their last 4 in a row. They've won the first 2 games of the series. They won Game 1 5-4, Game 2 7-3. They're handing the ball in this one to Keeter Montero, who's 1-2 this season with a 5.47 ERA. He's coming off a pretty mediocre start there against the Dodgers in a game that, shockingly enough, the Tigers managed to win 11-9 in 10 innings, but he went 5 innings, gave up 7 hits and 5 earned runs. So not great stuff. He's had some solid moments this season, like, don't get me wrong, but he's not somebody that I can really regard as like a lockdown starter out there. So we've got some questions about this 24-year-old out there on the mound. We don't have a crazy amount of questions about that Tigers bullpen. I mean, they're pretty average. They're not terrible, but a 4.11 bullpen ERA isn't exactly going to get the job done. Every time they get handed the ball, you can't necessarily expect them to hold on to that lead. So they're going to need the offense to come through, and they have been lately, guys. 7, 5, 4, and 11 runs respectively over this 4-game winning streak. This team is up to 49-50 on the year. A very hot team right now. They're 16th in the majors though, in runs scored over the course of the season. 25th in the majors in terms of, batting average, batting 234 as a team. That's not great. We're definitely seeing good things from Riley Green. No major complaints from me about him, but the rest of this offense, the rest of this lineup doesn't really fill me with, tons of optimism. They're taking on the Toronto Blue Jays, who come into this game losers of 4 of their last 5 overall. They're 44 and 54 on the season, so plenty of reason here for them to consider being sellers at the trade deadline. We're seeing this team be a little bit banged up, so they're going to need a great start here from Kevin Gausman, who's 7 and 8 this season with a 4.50 ERA. He's coming off of a very good pre-All-Star break start there at the San Francisco Giants, where he went 7 innings, gave up 6 hits and 2 earned runs. In a game we saw Toronto eventually win 5-3, so some pretty solid stuff from him there. Don't get me wrong, over his last 5 starts, he's been fine. I'm not going to say he's been dominant. I mean, 2 earned runs over 6 innings against the Mariners is nothing crazy. He got shelled by the Yankees back on the 30th of last month. So this just isn't a guy that I can really, run out there and say he's going to be amazing. He did have a very good start back in May against the Tigers, so that's something positive to look at. 6 innings, 3 hits, only a single earned run, and striking out 10. So, that's a very, very good start, so we definitely give him credit for that one. So we'll see how he looks out there in this game. We'll also see what we get from that Toronto Blue Jays bullpen, which has been terrible. A 4.90 bullpen ERA is pretty much a freaking disaster. So that's not great. That's not great at all. Neither of this offense, guys. They've scored 3, 4, 8, and 1 run respectively over their last few games. Obviously, we see Vladimir Guerrero Jr. leading the way for this team, but man, they're 25th in the majors in runs scored and 24th in the majors in slugging percentage. They're only batting 236 as a team. This is just not an offense that I'm in love with, guys. And looking at the numbers for this game, they see a little bit out of whack. A lot of credit here being given to Gausman. We see the Tigers at plus 130, the Blue Jays at minus 150. We've got an over/under of 8.5 or 8 out there. Detroit is 25 and 26 on the road. We see Toronto is 21 and 26 at home. In general, in terms of the side in this game, guys, I think you would have to roll the dice here and go with Montero and the Tigers at plus 130. That price on Gausman just seems a bit outlandish to me, but I just don't have enough faith in the Tigers here to, finish off this sweep to really put that in the pinned comment. But this over/under is very intriguing, guys. Detroit is 28, 21, and 2 to the over on the road. Toronto is 25, 21, and 1 to the over at home, and they're facing a basically rookie pitcher, a very young pitcher, 24 years old. Don't really know what we're going to see out of him. So over 8 seems very, very live in this game. It could definitely end up in the pinned comment if you ask me. Next up, guys, we're looking at the New York Mets going on the road to take on the Miami Marlins. The Mets come into this game fresh off of a 1-0 win there in Game 2 of this series. Quite the bounce back after losing 6-4 to win 1-0. So, yeah, the Mets aren't coming out of the All-Star break looking too hot. They are 50 and 47 on the year, which is nice. They're handing the ball to Christian Scott in this game. He's 0-2 this season with a 4.36 ERA, coming off of a mediocre start there going into the All-Star break for him. He went 4 1/3 innings, gave up 7 hits and 3 earned runs, including 2 home runs in a game at home against the Colorado Rockies. So, yeah, not his best stuff there. He's had pretty decent starts over his last 5 outings, but the Mets are only 2 and 3 over those starts. So, yeah, maybe not what I would term dominant stuff here. He does have an outing against the Marlins back in May 17th. He went 4 innings, gave up 7 hits and 4 earned runs. So that does not really get me too jazzed up, guys. Not super high on Christian Scott in this game. Obviously not going to be super high on that Mets bullpen. They've been better recently than they were, earlier in the season, but a 4.18 bullpen ERA, not something to write home about by any stretch. And the offense, guys, obviously coming off a game where they scored only a single run isn't great. They scored 1, 4, 5, and 7 runs over their last few. This offense has been much hotter over the course of their last 30 or 40 games now. They're up to 6th in the majors in runs scored, 10th in the majors in batting average, batting 250 as a team. They're a top 7 slugging percentage team. They're getting on base at a 322 clip. This is an offense that absolutely can put up some runs. So we don't feel bad about that. They've only scored 1 run in their last game. To me, that kind of smells like they're due for some sort of offensive outburst. And they're going up against the Miami Marlins, who come into this game fresh off that 1-0 loss. They're 34 and 64 on the season, so, not heading anywhere great, but they're handing the ball to Trevor Rogers in this game. He's 1 and 9 this year with a 4.72 ERA. He's coming off of a decent start, albeit a short one against the Cincinnati Reds back on the 14th. 5 2/3 innings, 2 hits, and 2 earned runs. He gave up a home run in that game. He did walk 3. He's shown some control issues over his last 5 starts. He's had some good ones in there. I mean, mostly they've been good. He hasn't given up more than 3 earned runs in any of them, but we see the Marlins are 3 and 2 over those starts as well, so there's some more positive stuff. But in general, is this guy someone we can really trust to just go out there and lock things down? That seems like a bit of a stretch for this 26-year-old. I mean, he's a big left-hander. He's got some pretty good stuff. We'll see what he actually does out there. But in general, guys, how do we feel about that Marlins bullpen for whenever he has to come out of the game? I mean, they're better than you would expect, but a 3.93 bullpen ERA, a bullpen ERA of near 4, not exactly great, not exactly lock it down territory. So we'll see. Also, this is late in the series, so you can kind of get into the bullpen a little bit there, and yeah, it can be a little bit tough. So looking at this Marlins offense, the possibility of them carrying the way. This isn't a great offense, guys. They've scored 0, 6, 3, and 6 runs respectively over their last few games. They are an offense that will put up some runs even if the game is a little bit out of reach. So I guess that's something to look at positively, but they are only 24th in the majors in batting average and 29th in the majors in on-base percentage. So looking at the numbers for this game, guys, see the Mets at minus 148, the Marlins at plus 130. We've got an over-under of 8.5 in this game. The Mets are 23 and 21 on the road. Miami is 19 and 32 at home, so a pretty bad home team. If you're wanting to look at the side in this game, maybe a slight lean towards me for the Mets, but that minus 148 price tag seems very, very expensive. I do have a play that I very much like in this game, though. It is the over-under. We see the Mets are 27, 14, and 3 to the over on the road. That is an MLB best to the over mark on the road. We see Miami is 34, 15, and 2 to the over at home. That's an MLB best to the over at home. Guys, we're definitely going to be taking over 8.5 in this game. It seems a little crazy considering the fact these are two teams that are coming off a 1-0 game yesterday, but I think that just means the bats are a little bit due. Neither one of these pitchers has great history against their opponent, so yeah, go ahead and give me the possibility of there being plenty of offense on a hot Sunday in this game. Give me the over 8.5. Rolling right along here, guys, we've got the San Diego Padres going on the road to take on the Cleveland Guardians. The Padres absolutely looked nuts, or maybe I should say Dylan Cease looked absolutely nuts there in Game 2 of this series, coming out there and just looking crazy, striking out 10. We saw the Padres combined to throw a one-hitter in that game to get the win. They're 51 and 50 on the year, handing the ball to Michael King in this game, who's 7 and 6 this season with a 3.41 ERA. He went into the All-Star break fresh off of a very good start against the Seattle Mariners. It was the Mariners, but still a good outing for him, and in general, he's looked pretty good over his last 5 starts, but the Padres are only 2 and 3 over those starts, so that's not great. The Padres bullpen, not exactly a right home about the bullpen kind of scenario. A 4.29 bullpen ERA is pretty awful. It's been one of the big weaknesses of this team, one of the things holding them back. The offense erupted for 7 runs there in Game 2 of this series. It's pretty crazy. Game 1 of this series was a 7-0 shutout for Cleveland. Game 2 was a 7-0 shutout for the Padres. So, kind of some weird stuff there for sure. This Padres offense comes into the game 12th in the majors in runs scored, but 2nd in batting average and 10th in on-base percentage. So, some solid numbers out there for this offense for sure. They're taking on the Cleveland Guardians, who come into this game 59 and 38 on the season, so a very, very solid season record. Haven't really been playing their best ball lately. I mean, I wouldn't say they're a good team, but maybe not swinging the hottest bats right now necessarily, but it's been a weird series, a very Jekyll and Hyde kind of series. They're handing the ball to Ben Lively in this game. He's 8 and 5 this year with a 3.58 ERA. He's coming off of a pretty good start there against the Tampa Bay Rays. It was on the road at Tampa Bay. He went 5 1/3 innings, gave up 2 earned runs on 3 hits. He did give up 2 home runs, and the guy can be a little bit prone to the long ball, which is a little bit of a problem going up against a team like the San Diego Padres that, they've got a little bit of pop at least, so yeah, that's a bit of a concern, but something that's not a concern is this Cleveland bullpen. Clearly the best bullpen in Major League Baseball with a 2.58 bullpen ERA. They are absolutely lock it down squad, so we'll see how they look here in Game 3 of this series. We really need some offense here. We need Quan and Jose Ramirez to come alive. They're the reason this team is still top 10 in runs scored and 14th in the majors in batting average, so some good things to say about this offense for sure. Looking at the numbers for this game, we see it's pretty much a coin flip. The Padres are minus 105. The Guardians are minus 104. We've got an over-under of 8 in this game. The Padres are 23 and 22 on the road. Cleveland is 31 and 11 at home. In general, in this game, guys, I'm siding with Ben Lively and the Cleveland Guardians to bounce back, but is this a game that I'm interested in putting in the pinned comment? Absolutely not. Next up, guys, we're looking at the Arizona Diamondbacks going on the road to take on the Chicago Cubs. The Diamondbacks come to this game fresh off a 3-0 win there in Game 2 at Wrigley Field. They're up to 51 and 48 on the year, making something of a charge here. They're handing the ball to Brandon Pfaadt in this game. He's 4 and 6 this season with a 3.97 ERA. He's coming off of a great start back on the 11th against Atlanta. He went 6 innings, gave up 3 hits and no runs while striking out 4. He actually hasn't walked a batter in either of his last 2 outings, and he hasn't given up more than 1 earned run over his last 3, spanning starts against Oakland, the Padres, and the Atlanta Braves. So the dude's been throwing the ball pretty well recently. Hasn't necessarily been true over the course of the season, but he's going up against the Chicago Cubs, not exactly a power hitting team. So, we'll see what he can do out there in this one. We'll also see what this Arizona Diamondbacks bullpen can do. Definitely trending in a positive direction, but still sporting a bullpen ERA of 4.24. So not amazing, but a bullpen that's definitely, seeming to find itself a little bit here in the later part of the season. The Diamondbacks offense has been good all year long. They've scored 3, 5, 7, 12, and 5 runs respectively over their last few games. They're second in the majors in runs scored, fifth in the majors in batting average, batting 255 as a team. Absolutely nothing wrong with this offense. They are hitting the ball well right now, and they're going up against the Chicago Cubs, who are having a rough time here after the All-Star break, losing 2 in a row. They had lost 2 out of 4 there against the Cardinals, so they've lost 4 out of their last 5 games. They're down to 47 and 53 on the year, hitting the ball to Shota Imanaga, who's 8-2 this season with a 2.97 ERA. His last appearance was in the All-Star game, and he looked great over his 1 inning of work. His start before that was very, very good at Baltimore, so it seems like he's pretty much back on track here. And the dude has shown dominant stuff at times this season, and by at times, I mean most of his outings this year have been very, very good. The Cubs bullpen hasn't been a disaster. They've held pretty much steady there at around a, just sub 4 bullpen ERA, sitting, right around MLB average, so nothing wrong with that. And the offense has really been the problem, guys. They're 17th in the majors in runs scored. That is true, but 22nd in the majors, batting 235 as a team. Their slugging percentage is also in the bottom third of the league. Just not a lot of great things to say about this team at the plate. I mean, they've only scored 2 runs so far in this series. So looking at the numbers for this game, we see the Diamondbacks at plus 110, the Cubs at minus 122. We've got an over-under of 7.5 in this game. The Diamondbacks are 24 and 24 on the road. The Cubs are still slightly over 500 at home, so that's a 1 positive. Not a lot of big trends towards the over-under for this game. I mean, Chicago's a slight under team at home, but in general, not very interested in the over-under. We are slightly interested in the Cubs minus 122 going up against Fott and with Imanaga out there on the mound. And we've got that nice Sunday trend of them trying to avoid the sweep here. So I'm definitely going to lean towards the Cubs minus 122. Are we leaning hard enough into those Sunday trends to put them in the pinned comment? We'll have to wait and see, but this does seem like a pretty big pitching advantage situation for the Cubs. Next up, guys, we've got the Baltimore Orioles going on the road to take on the Texas Rangers. The Orioles come into this game fresh off of a solid 8-4 win there in Game 2 of this series. They're 60 and 38 on the season, handing the ball to Dean Kremer in this game, who's 4-5 this year with a 4.38 ERA. He's coming off of a pretty, I guess okay start against the Yankees back on the 14th. He only lasted 4 2/3 innings, and he has not been going deep into games lately. So I've got significant questions here about Kremer. He's had some injury concerns this season, and yeah, just not a guy I'm super high on right now. And also, this Baltimore Orioles bullpen hasn't been looking amazing, down to a 3.81 bullpen ERA, well out of the top 10, well out of places they've been earlier in the season. So a lot is going to rest on the shoulders of this offense, and so far in this series, it's been great. They've scored 8 and 9 runs respectively over their last 2 games. So yeah, I mean, this is one of the best offenses in Major League Baseball. No major shock there. I mean, 4th in the majors in runs scored and 1st in the majors in slugging percentage. So expecting big things out of their bats pretty much all the time. They're taking on the Texas Rangers, who are looking to salvage a win here in this series. They're handing the ball in this game to Andrew Heaney, who's 3 and 10 this season with a 3.79 ERA. He's coming off of a mediocre start there at Houston, his last time out before the All-Star break back on the 12th. I mean, 5 innings, 5 hits, and 2 earned runs, but 2 home runs. Not exactly amazing stuff. The last time he faced the Orioles, though, he was lights out, guys. 7 innings, 5 hits, 2 earned runs, 10 strikeouts, and no home runs surrendered. So, I mean, we got some pretty positive history there for Andrew Heaney in this game. Not gonna lie, the Rangers bullpen in general, not one of the best bullpens in Major League Baseball, guys. A 4.39 bullpen ERA, not something to write home about, and not necessarily a bullpen that's had an amazing time so far in this series. So, yeah, some question marks about that part of the pitching staff, and also some question marks about this offense that has combined to score 5 runs in this series. I mean, they're 18th in the majors in runs scored and 18th in the majors, batting 239 as a team. Like, just not an offense that's killing it. 4-1, 4-2, and 3 runs respectively over their last few games. Just not swinging the hottest bats. So looking at the numbers for this game, guys, this is another one of those situations where we've got a team trying to avoid a sweep. We've got the Orioles at minus 110, the Rangers at plus 100. We've got an over-unders showing out there of 8.5 or 9. Baltimore's 29 and 16 on the road. That's an MLB best road mark. Texas is 24 and 22 at home. We also see that the Rangers are a huge under team at home. They're an MLB best 30, 14, and 2 to the under. Yeah, guys, not really interested in under 8.5 or 9 in this game, especially with Baltimore being an over team on the road. So, yeah, guys, go ahead and give me a lean on the Rangers plus 100, but I don't really think I trust that bullpen enough, and maybe don't even trust the offense enough right now, even going up against somebody like Dean Kremer. Next up, guys, we're looking at the San Francisco Giants going on the road to take on the Colorado Rockies. We saw the Giants take the 4-3 loss there in Game 2 of this series. We were very excited to see the Rockies come through as a sizable underdog for us in that game. The Giants still haven't gotten a win in this series. They're 47-52 on the year, handing the ball to Hayden Birdsong. He's only 22 years old, but he's looking great out there. 1-0 this season with a 3.72 ERA. He hasn't given up more than 3 earned runs in any of his 4 starts this season. He's about to make his 5th start, and he has been keeping his team in games every time he's out on the mound. And he's faced some pretty tough opponents: Minnesota, Cleveland, Cleveland, Atlanta, and the Chicago Cubs. So very, very good stuff out there. He's about to go up against the Rockies. We'll see how he does. We'll also see how this pretty terrible Giants bullpen does. A 4.42 bullpen ERA is obviously terrible, and the offense not killing it right now. 3, 2, and 7 runs respectively over their last 5 games. That's not great. 15th in the majors in runs scored, 18th in the majors in slugging percentage. These are offensive numbers that are definitely trending down. So some concerns about that heading into this third game here against the Rockies, who are now on a 3-game winning streak. They're 36 and 62 in the year, so not heading anywhere too quick. Hitting the ball to Austin Gomber in this game. He's 2-6 this season with a 4.61 ERA. His last time out was against the Reds. He gave up 7 hits, 4 earned runs back on the 11th. So not somebody that we can super trust out there. And yeah, the Rockies bullpen is the worst bullpen in Major League Baseball by a huge margin. An absolutely terrible bullpen, although they haven't looked awful in this series, so we'll give them a little bit of credit. But yeah, not a bullpen you can really trust, not necessarily an offense you can trust, but they have scored 8, 7, and 4 runs respectively over their last 3 games. So swinging some relatively warm bats. They've got some things to feel good about here. And looking at the numbers for this game, we see the Giants at -150, the Rockies at +130 again. We've got an over-under of 10.5 or 11 showing out there. The Giants are only 19 and 28 on the road. The Rockies are 21 and 25 at home. Yeah, I mean, San Francisco is a pretty big over team on the road, so if you want to take a look at the over, I guess you could, but I'm not interested in that, guys. Once again, I am interested in the Rockies +130. Hayden Birdsong is a good pitcher, but that Giants bullpen is terrible. The Rockies bullpen is looking better. I know this is, going against that Sunday trend with the, we've got the Giants trying to avoid the sweep here, but yeah, my lean in this one is the Rockies +130. Moving right along here, guys, we got the Los Angeles Angels going on the road to take on the Oakland A's. The Angels come into this game fresh off of an 8-2 loss there in Game 2 of this series. They're kind of in a free fall now at 41 and 57 on the year, handing the ball in this game to Carson Fulmer, who's sporting a 3.45 ERA this season. He's going to be making his second start. His first start back on the 14th was very, very good. 4 2/3 innings, no hits, no runs, 1 walk, and 7 strikeouts against the Seattle Mariners. It was the Seattle Mariners, guys, so take it with a little bit of a grain of salt. In general, the guy just looked pretty good out there in his start, so got to give him some credit there. I don't know if we've seen him against this team, against the Angels this season. I would assume maybe, but no, it doesn't look like he's faced the Angels yet this year, so we'll see how he does out there against a new team. We'll also see how this Angels bullpen looks. It has not been just not very good this year, guys. A 4.62 bullpen ERA, pretty weak stuff, and the offense not hitting the ball great right now. They've only scored 5 runs through the first 2 games of this series and haven't been a great offense over the course of the season, easily bottom third in all the major hitting categories. They're going up against a resurgent Oakland A's team that's now won 4 out of the last 5 games. They're 39 and 61 on the year, so I don't think they've got a lot of hope or a lot of aspirations, but they're playing for something out there. They're hitting the ball to Joey Estes, who's 4-4 this season with a 5.29 ERA. He's coming off a decent start at the Phillies. That was in that 18-3 absolutely crazy game at Philadelphia. He went 6 innings, gave up 4 hits and 3 runs. 2 of them were earned. He did have an 8-run debacle at Boston back on the 9th, but generally speaking, he's been throwing the ball pretty well coming into this game, and he's got 2 recent starts against the Angels. One was a 9-inning shutout, and one was 5 2/3 innings and 2 earned runs. So he's been looking pretty good recently, no doubt about it. The A's bullpen has also been trending in a positive direction, and just in general has been much better than you would expect them to be this season. Easily top 10 in the majors with a 3.59 bullpen ERA. So definitely some major credit there for the A's, and they're playing really well right now, killing the ball at the plate. I mean, 8, 13, and 18 runs respectively over their last 3 games. This team's up to 23rd in the majors in runs scored. I'm not going to act like this is suddenly an amazing offensive team, guys, but they're really getting the bat on the ball right now, and they're going up against basically a bullpen start here from the Angels, who are one of the worst bullpens in the major league. So looking at the numbers for this game, we see the Angels at +120, the Oakland A's at -135. We got an over-under of 9 in this game. The Angels are only 19 and 28 on the road. The Oakland A's are 24 and 25 at home. Guys, run it back here. Give me the Oakland A's -135 at home. I'm expecting a good start here from Estes against a team that he has very positive history against, and yeah, no idea what we're going to really see here from Fulmer, and yeah, just overall not very excited about what we're looking at here in the future for the Angels. So yeah, I mean, yeah, just go ahead and give me Oakland at home. I think this is a very, very likely chance to end up in the pinned comment, going against some Sunday trends in this one. Rounding into the home stretch here, guys, we've got the Houston Astros going on the road to take on the Seattle Mariners. The Astros come into this game winners of the first 2 games of this series, kind of asserting dominance there, taking the lead in the AL West. They're hitting the ball in this game to Ronel Blanco, who's 9-4 this season with a 2.56 ERA, coming off a very good start against the Texas Rangers. He's really looked good over his last 5 outings, so not a lot of negatives to report for him. His only other outing this season against Seattle Mariners was back on the 3rd of May. He went 6 innings, gave up 5 hits and 3 earned runs, including 2 home runs, but that was a really long time ago. We'll see what he actually does in this outing. In general, we expect good things from Blanco. We also are starting to expect kind of good things from this Houston Astros bullpen. I mean, don't get me wrong, guys. They definitely had their problems this season, but they're trending in a positive direction. They're sporting a 3.69 bullpen ERA, so definitely some good things coming around the block here for this Astros bullpen. And the offense, maybe not killing it right now, but going up against the Mariners, putting up 4 and 3 runs respectively is not terrible. This team is first in the majors in batting average, 9th in the majors and on base percentage. We've got Jose Altuve batting over 300. We've got Kyle Tucker with 19 home runs. Like, this team just has some very solid stuff they're putting together. Guys, don't get in there and get after me. I know Kyle Tucker's on the IL, but still, this offense has been looking very, very good. So, yeah, expecting some good things from the Houston Astros in this game. Going up against the Mariners, who are down to 52 and 48 on the year. They've now dropped 5 in a row. They're handing the ball to Brian Wu, hoping he can turn things around for them. He's 3-1 this season with a 2.45 ERA, but not coming off the best start, guys. He's had, ever since he got hurt, he's just been having problems. At the Angels, back on the 12th, 3 1/3 innings, 9 hits, and 4 earned runs. His start for that at Tampa Bay was a very short one, but it was at least kind of effective, but he gave up 5 hits in a short outing. Like, he just hasn't looked like himself, so he's going to have to show me something good before I'm really ready to jump on board with him. And the Seattle Mariners bullpen, obviously it's very good, no question marks there, but their offense, guys, is just atrocious. 2, 0, 2, and 1 runs respectively over their last few games. 27th in the majors in runs scored, dead last in batting average, batting .218 as a team. 28th in the majors with an on-base percentage of under 300. Like, just a bad offense. No question about it. So, looking at the numbers for this game, we see the Astros at -106, the Mariners at -105. We got over-under showing out there of 7.5 or 7. Houston is 21 and 25 on the road. Seattle's been a very good home team all season long, but they're not really looking the same right now. In general, in terms of a side for this game, honestly, guys, with Wu on the mound for the Mariners, I'm leaning towards the Astros -106. I know this is a spot for Seattle to avoid the sweep here on a Sunday, and maybe they'll do it, but them playing in a day game seems a little bit suspect to me, even though it's a day game at home, so maybe it's not quite as bad. But yeah, generally speaking, leaning towards the Astros in this game. And in terms of an over-under, I know both of these teams are showing pretty big trends towards the under, especially Seattle, who's 31, 16, and 2 to the under. So maybe you could take under 7.5, but I don't really know if I trust Wu enough for that one. I think the value in this game is Houston -106, and I say it's got, some sort of chance to possibly end up in the pinned comment. Last but not least, guys, we've got the Boston Red Sox going on the road to take on the LA Dodgers on Sunday Night Baseball. The Red Sox couldn't get it done for us yesterday, guys, eventually losing 7-6. We talked about that in the intro, just quite the debacle there. They had a plethora of chances to win this game and couldn't put it away there late. They're 53 and 44 on the year, handing the ball to Cutter Crawford in this game, who's 6 and 7 on the season with a 3.04 ERA. He's coming off of a dazzling start there against the Royals back on the 13th. He really went into the All-Star break throwing the ball the best he has all season long, with giving up only a single earned run over, 19 innings, or no, 20 innings of work, spanning starts against Miami, the Yankees, and the Kansas City Royals. So very, very solid stuff from Crawford here recently. And in general, this year overall, he's just been pretty freaking good. I mean, not a lot of complaints from me. He obviously hasn't faced the Dodgers yet this season, so nothing we can glean from that. But in terms of their bullpen, the Red Sox hasn't been as good as it's been at other points this season. A 3.75 bullpen ERA, obviously not the end of the world, but not as good as they've been at some other points in the year. And obviously not coming off of a great game, a long, extended 11-inning game. So we'll have to see what they've even really got left in the pen. We'll also see what the bats can do, guys. They've scored 6, 1, 5, and 5 runs respectively over their last 4 games. So we'll see what they've got in the tank for this one. Obviously, this has been a pretty good offensive team over their last, 20, 25, 30 games, something like that. 4th in the majors in batting average, 8th in the majors in on-base percentage this season, like top 5 slugging percentage. Like, this is a very good offensive team. And they're going up against the Dodgers, who come into this game fresh off that 7-6 win. They're 58 and 41 on the year. We're going to see Kershaw out there on Thursday for that start against the Giants. So that's probably got some Dodgers fans pretty excited. I'm in wait and see mode. They're handing the ball in this game to James Paxton, who's 7-2 this year with a 4.38 ERA. He's coming off of a kind of middling start at Detroit to go into the All-Star break. I mean, it was a game we saw the Dodgers win 4-3, but he went 3 2/3 innings, gave up 5 hits and 3 earned runs. So not great stuff. He walked 4 and struck out 1. Maybe the dude was ready to get into the All-Star break, but honestly, his last 3 starts have not filled me with optimism. He got absolutely lit up at San Francisco back on the 30th of last month. Then on the 6th of July, didn't have a great time against the Brewers. And then on the 12th, that not great start against Detroit. So we'll see what we actually get from him in this one. We'll also see what we get from that Dodgers bullpen that's sporting a 3.44 bullpen ERA, which puts them 4th in the majors. So not a lot of negatives there. The offense, I mean, they've scored 7, 4, 3, and 9 runs respectively over their last 4 games. Obviously, this offense would love to get healthy, love to get all their pieces back out there. I don't think that's going to be the reality for this game. So looking at the numbers for this one, we see the Red Sox at plus 100. We see the Dodgers at minus 118. We've got an over-under of 9 in this game. Boston is 29-18 on the road this season. The Dodgers are 29-18 at home. Kind of a crazy coincidence there. We see both teams showing trends towards the over, but am I really going to take over 9 in this game? I don't think I'm too interested in that with these 2 starters out there. I don't have a ton of faith in Paxton. I do have some faith in Cutter Crawford, so my lean in this game is definitely going to be the Red Sox. I think they're in a pretty good spot to avoid the sweep here. This could be a big Sunday trend. So yeah, maybe give me the Red Sox plus 100. This one actually has a chance to end up in the pinned comment as one of those, diving in headfirst and taking all of those Sunday trend plays that we reasonably can. That's all the games we have for today, guys. Hit that like button for good luck on all of your bets and subscribe to the channel if you're new. Let me know in the comments any questions you have on today's slate. Thanks for watching. You can click the link in the description to check out stumpthespread.com, and we'll see you guys tomorrow for more sports betting action.